Bible says that we become partakers of the divine nature and we escape something. What do we escape? Having escaped the corruptions that is in the world through what? Through lust. You see, even in the world today, the reason the Bible says there's so much corruption is because of lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and even the pride of life. The world is in trouble. The church is in trouble. The family is in trouble. Individuals are in trouble. People are slaves to this issue of sexual sin.
The devil's gateway drug, masturbation. And I was actually shown this in a dream to speak on this and do a lecture on this. And as I pondered on it and thought about it even more, I definitely see why God would have me do a lecture on this. This habit, this vice is the most underlooked, underrated gateway open to all types of sins and bad habits that stem from this habit. And beloved, let's say one medical, should we say, medical consultant from back in the 1800s. I read a book. She once said now she was a lot of things, but she knew a lot about medical and the human body. And she once said that, she said, in the last days, doctors and people would tell you that this habit, masturbation, is okay, when really this habit causes a chemical imbalance in everyone who does it. And what makes it a powerful vice, what makes this one of the most powerful vices on earth, is that it pulls on our second biggest urge. Well, one of our biggest urges. I won't say second, because certain people urges are different, but almost next to the urge to eat, and to drink fluids, is the urge to have sex. It's one of the only things that come from inside of us. You don't need nothing external to have this urge. Like when you say to smoke cigarettes, you gotta have a cigarette to smoke it. You know what I mean? You gotta have a cigarette to smoke, beer to drink, marijuana to roll up, twist up, to blow. But the urge to wanna have sex, it travels from right up in here in your heart. It comes from inside. That's what makes it so deadly. That's what makes it so deadly. And beloved, I'm open and honest with everyone. My life is an open book. If God sees everything, why should I worry about the thoughts of man? This is something I wrestled with for years. So it's not even like I'm just speaking from speaking. I'm speaking from experience, and this gateway is often underlooked. I've heard many times, marijuana called the gateway drug. Beloved, what led you to smoke marijuana was the habit that you developed as a child. Most of us developed that habit as a child of masturbating, or a preteen, being a preteen, masturbating as a preteen. And we did not know then that those empty feelings that you have from the inside, thoughts, depression, Ellen G. White was the person I'm referring to. Ellen G. White said in a book she wrote called God Invented Sex. I happened to read this book when I was 16, and it changed my life. When I read that chapter on masturbation, if I had never read that book, I would have thought that those feelings and emotions were things that was just me. I wouldn't have known that they were stemming from this bad habit I had. It causes a chemical imbalance. And first let me break down why it causes a chemical imbalance. Every time you have an orgasm, for us men, every time you have an orgasm, your body thinks that it's given that you're trying to have a baby. So it automatically pulls all the best vitamins, and juices from up out of you to give to that child, to give to have that baby. So your body pulls and draws the best. It's only giving the best nutrients to get the girl pregnant. It does that naturally. So what tends to happen is you do it once a day. Let's just say once a day. Sometimes men do it twice a day, 3 times. But you say you do it once a day, you're not giving your body time to remake the chemicals, the nutrients, to reproduce the nutrients that it just spit out. So say you go 2 weeks where you do it once a day, every day, your body is now tapped and drained of all the good nutrients. So now it starts pulling. Like how the body works is it'll pull from whatever source it has to. So then it starts pulling from your muscle tissue, from your balance in your brain, and this is what actually starts to cause the chemical imbalance, the shift in your brain, because then it starts to pull from here. You might have a lot of vitamin A, so it isn't really drawing from the reserve tank on the vitamin A, but your vitamin C and all of that is super low, so it's drawing from the reserve tank. So now this chemical imbalance, everything isn't balanced anymore. The fluids in your body aren't balanced anymore. You have this balance starting, and that's where depression starts to come in. And that's why you have a lot of preteens and even us. Go back in your mind. How many times have you done it and you sat there afterwards and you felt this empty feeling, or up here, look, the lightheadedness feeling, or the feeling like you don't even want to eat, things of that nature. Because once that chemical imbalance starts to happen, you have the anxiety. Anxiety comes, depression, anger, your self-esteem drops. It takes away ambition. And on top of all of that, it opens the gateway to doing other things. Because now that feeling and that emotion is now becoming common to you. So your body naturally looks for another high. You see what I'm saying? Your body's gonna keep searching for. We call it. I heard it back in when I went to NA meetings with my dad up in New Jersey when I was young, and they called it chasing the dragon. Like that first time you smoked a cigarette, or that first time you hit that marijuana, or really got drunk, and that feeling that you had with that habit, you spend the rest of your time searching for that one feeling that you had the first time you did it. And that's called chasing the dragon. But because you're doing it on a regular basis, your body is becoming dull to it, so you never really reach that very first time. So you spend all the other times chasing the dragon. And that's what masturbation does also. Masturbation, it gives your body has that high the first time, but then it becomes ritualistic to where you get in the habit. You're doing it every day. So now your body needs more to reach that high. So not only masturbating, now you smoking cigarettes, or now you drinking a little bit. You ever wonder why some people can just take a sip or a drink and be good and not drink anymore for like weeks or whatever? But then some people, you take, like me, I take one sip, it's a wrap. I'm back down the road again, drinking every day, all day, night, day, morning, afternoon, off of one sip. And I used to wonder why am I like this and other people aren't? But it's sad that nowadays the medical profession knows this. Beloved, this is a trap of traps. See, the medical industry is big business. It's big business, and the more you have problems and issues, the more they get paid. And they will tell you. You can even Google it. I see it on MSN News and all these types of news shows, but they say, oh, masturbation is healthy. It's healthy. Once it builds up, it's good to release it. Not realizing that they know that causes that chemical imbalance, which causes depression, anxiety, things of that nature, violent, ADHD, all of that, which we pass to our children and our seeds, And so you cause all of that, and what happens most of the time? People got to go get pills for the depression, go see a therapist for anxiety, then they prescribe pills, 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 pills. While all the time, the devil's sleeper is laying in the cut. All the time you popping the pills, trying to get better, things of that nature. He's laying in the cut, and you're still masturbating on a regular basis. All the while, steady draining. Now, some people, because you might have a good diet, eating good vegetables, and things of that nature while you're masturbating, your chemical imbalance don't drop as fast or as far. But most of us, most young people who have poor diets, your chemical imbalance is like pop. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we have all these issues with the youth, grown-ups, high school, teenagers, adults, and this is like one of those so-called taboo subjects where people be afraid to talk about it. But beloved, if I see you about to walk into a ditch and I don't warn you, how can I say I love you? So I'm not afraid to talk about it at all. Like I said, God sees everything. Plus, I know many people wrestle with this demon, and this demon is taking many lives. As I said, Father, before I even get it, because there's so much. When I say it takes ambition, you ever seen some people, or think about it in your mind, how many people you went to school with, and all of a sudden it's like you look up and all of us are out of school, nobody's really wanting to chase a job, and they're just content where they're at, or they even might have a good job or be in college, then all of a sudden they just letting themselves go, or it's like they just start settling for where they're at. Their ambition stops. I guarantee almost there's masturbation behind it. Even more than that, to homosexuality. Now certain people might agree, might disagree, but you gotta hear me out, beloved, and what I'm about to tell you. I've tested and tried this when I went to jail many times, and I've asked certain of my partners who was gay in jail. I was like, did you have a masturbation problem when you was younger? And they like, yeah, of course, yeah. What happens, beloved, and Ellen G. White even said this in the book, God Invented Sex. She said, what happens is, when you have a child who masturbates before he reaches puberty, his body, because that chemical imbalance is made, his body never jumps into puberty. See, your body, it's almost like fruit. Fruit grows in stages. You got this stage, and right before it gets ripe, it reaps. We'll call it that preripe stage. So once the fruit reaches that preripe stage, then the enzymes and the cells inside the fruit knows, okay, we're at the preripe stage. Then it starts ripening. See, but what happens with us humans, when you masturbate at a young age, you keep your body from getting to that pre-ripe stage. So your puberty never kicks in. And see what puberty actually does, puberty is what separates the boys from the girls. That's when, if you're a female, your estrogen levels kick in. If you're a male, your testosterone levels kick in. But when you're masturbating at a young age and your body isn't sending signals to your cells, hey, we're at that pre-ripe stage, send in the testosterone, send it in. When your body isn't sending your cell and brain those signals because of the chemical imbalance at such a young age, your testosterone never kicks in full throttle. Her estrogen never kicks in full throttle. And that's why you hear a lot of homosexuals say, I was born this way. Because their body of course they wasn't born that way. God doesn't make mistakes. What happened was their bodies never got that full dose of estrogen. They never got that full dose of testosterone to kick in and start develop and become ripe as a man or ripe as a woman. And so their body is left in this chemical imbalance state to where the flesh itself doesn't know which way to go. And that's where that confusion or you ever seen a guy who was just feminine and you think, oh man, Johnny been like that since we were younger. Johnny feminine because his testosterone ain't kicked in yet because of the chemical imbalance. Now, beloved, don't get me wrong. All of that can change in a blink of an eye. All that person have to do is stop masturbating. And that's how the body works. That's the beauty of the body. That person stops masturbating your body will pick up where it's at, no matter the age. Believe me, scientists will tell you, oh no, once you're 30 you won't hit puberty. No, that's where the term late bloomers come from. But your body will pick up where it's at, and it'll kick in its testosterone, or it'll kick in that estrogen, and you'll start to feel like a man and feel like a woman in the inside. But beloved, it's sad, but that is where 99% of homosexuality comes from. It's from a heavy dose of masturbation problem. Because another thing that happens is the body gets numb. Like I said, you do so much, and if you do so much to your body and over long periods of time, and you do it a lot, once a day, twice a day, for years, your body gets so numb to it that it searches for other ways to fill in that gap, to fill in that void, that sexual feeling. And that's where a lot of that curiosity and all of that comes in. And then you got young children who masturbate at young ages, like I know, like I did. You start experimenting with sex at a young age because you get tired of touching yourself, so you look for the real deal. And that's what happens with, you got a lot of these young people who are out having sex at young ages. Why? They're looking for the real deal. They're getting tired of masturbating at home, especially with the internet, especially on the phones. What? If I would have had an internet and access like an internet on my phone or computer when I was young, my testosterone probably wouldn't be kicked in for like another 50 years or something. I probably, it'd have been worse. Me and my partners be chained in rooms, be lost. It's hard to overcome these demons now. So I can imagine being a child growing up with these things. If it's hard for an adult to stop doing these things, can you imagine if the devil gets a child started down this road? Beloved, this is not a game at all. This is not a game at all. That's why we're at the edge of eternity. The edge of eternity. And the devil is tapping into his greatest resource. That is the urge to reproduce. Let me show you how deep this actually gets. This is what the devil's pulling for. This all goes back to the Garden of Eden. Adam chose Eve. See, Eve was deceived in eating the fruit. But Adam, he chose to turn his back on what God said and follow his wife. What pull did his wife have on him? Think about it. What pull did Eve have on Adam? Was it just because she was beautiful? Was it just because she was made perfect? Beloved, this is my imagination right here. I believe, in almost honesty, even the urge of making love, that feeling, that oneness that came from it with Eve, had a lot to do with Adam's choice in choosing to go with his wife. He was thinking, God, if God is going to punish Eve and kick her out the garden. Of course he loved her. Don't get me wrong. He loved her. That was his wife. But I'm a man also. I knew it crossed his mind. If she goes, who would I have to make love with? Who would I have to be with? Ephesians 6, not Ephesians, Hosea. This verse just came to mind. It's funny how God works to back certain things. This verse just came to mind. Go to Hosea chapter 4. Hosea chapter 4. Hosea chapter 4. And I'm going to read verse, let's see. We're going to read verse 11. Matter of fact, I'm going to read verse 10, but verse 11 is the verse I want you to key into. Now remember what I said about this pull. See, the devil knows that this urge to have sex, this urge that comes from the inside, that comes from my heart, that is natural, that is natural, that's given to us. It is meant to be joyful. It is meant to feel good. It is meant to be a blessing. It is meant to be sacred. But the devil knows that this feeling that we have, if taken the wrong way, it will draw a pull on the heart that's powerful. And it's funny how the Holy Spirit worked to bring up this verse. Hosea 4, and we're going to start at verse 10. It says, "For they shall eat and not have enough. They shall commit whoredom and shall not increase, because they have left off to take heed to the Lord." Now look at verse 11. "Whoredom and wine and new wine take away the heart." Let me read that again. "Whoredom and new wine and wine take away the heart." It pulls your heart away from God. And beloved, you might say, somebody might say, "Well, I'm just masturbating. Who am I whoring with?" Beloved, you whoring with yourself. And a lot of times we use our imaginations. So even though we're imagining with these people that we see on our screens or wherever in our conscious mind, in reality, you're whoring with yourself. And how many people are self-centered? Who knew that this habit leads to being selfish and self-centered? Our bodies, we don't even understand fully how our bodies work. Do you know there's a major difference when you're touching yourself than when you're actually with someone else? Our body even knows the difference. Could it be that even with touching ourselves with our own flesh, when we please ourselves with our own flesh, we corrupt our flesh so much that it starts to not only just feed on itself, but we start to just, everything about it starts to feed and pleasure ourselves. From the way we think, the way we dress, the way we act, everything starts to just be self. We just start to think about ourselves. Why? Could it be because we're pleasing ourselves with ourselves? Could that be why people's feelings and emotions seem so cold towards each other nowadays? Because the okay thing is to please yourself. It's all right to there's this thing in society where it's okay to masturbate. It's healthy. Is it really? Beloved, this is the devil's gateway drug. The devil's gateway drug. I guarantee it is the root. I guarantee that it is the root of 99% of problems that people have that do it. I guarantee if you do it on a regular basis, even every now and again, there's issues in your life. Even if you say, "Well, I only do it like once a week," I guarantee there's still issues in your life that have stemmed from this tree that's inside of you. And there's fruit growing off of it. The fruit, like I said before, the fruit could be depression, anxiety, low self-worth, hatred, anger issues, hard-headedness, selfishness, no ambition. There's so much fruit that can grow from this evil tree. Beloved, take heed. Look at your life with honest eyes. Look at your life with honest eyes. Even if you just do it every now and again, this is dangerous. It's dangerous. It still has a hold on you. Try to stop it, period. And watch how hard it gets. That's how you know it definitely has a hold on you. You never really know how much something has a hold on you until you try to stop it for good. This is out of love, beloved, because I've been there. I've been there. And we're on the edge of eternity. The edge of eternity. Like Hosea 4:11 says, whoredom draws away the heart. And most of the time, masturbation leads to wanting the real thing. And it leads to instant gratification. It leads to instant gratification. That's why we're in an instant gratification society. And this is the last point, but this is probably the biggest point of all. That's why people aren't patient anymore. Everybody wants everything instantly. Nobody can just wait for certain things. Ellen White said in her book, God Invented Sex, back in the 1800s, she said masturbation leads to instant gratification, to where the people who do it really have no patience. They want everything instantly. They can't really wait for anything. Beloved, this This thing is deadly, and it's a creeper, and it's a sleeper, and it's evil. Y'all take care.